Welcome to Unit 3, Video 5. Last video we talked about the Persian Wars, and next video we're going to talk about what happens between the Persian Wars and the Peloponnesian War, and that's going to be the Golden Age of Athens. So we're not quite doing these in time order because we want to put the two wars together so you understand the wars that were fought in Athens, the major wars. But please do note that between the Persian War and the Peloponnesian War, which we will talk about in this video, there was a golden age of Athens, many years of peace, and a lot of achievements were accomplished in that time. That being said, let's talk about the Peloponnesian War. So the Peloponnesian War was fought between 431 and 404 BC or BCE, and the Peloponnesian War was fought between Athens and Sparta. So this is fought between two major city-states. So this has nothing to do with any groups outside of Greece. This is city-states fighting one another. The causes of the Peloponnesian War include Athens extending its territory and becoming a huge naval power, fighting for control of the Greek world, and leaders pressing for war. Essentially, there's a lot of dislike between Athens and Sparta. They run their city-states incredibly different from one another, and Athens is becoming quite powerful, and so Sparta does not appreciate how powerful Athens is becoming, and so they go to war with one another. They will not be the only city-states fighting. They are the two major ones. Other city-states will take sides, though. So this is a little bit of review, but Athens is the strongest sea power in Greece, and Sparta is the strongest land power in Greece. We already know that Athens heads the Delian League, but we're about to see that Sparta forms its own league, the Peloponnesian League. Sparta forms this league. It's named the Peloponnesian League because most of the city-states that are involved in it are on the Peloponnesian Peninsula, along with Sparta. And so these two major city-states form these leagues, so it's basically other city-states supporting them financially and in wartime to fight against one another. That was not the original intent of the Delian League, but that ends up getting roped in here. So during the Peloponnesian War, Athens is not incredibly successful at this war. They have a large sea power, but their strategy is to wait for the Spartans to come to them. Now, the Spartan strategy is to starve the Athenians out. So basically, the Spartans take over the land surrounding Athens, and they make it so that the Athenians cannot get food, cannot get water brought in to their city-state. The Athenians, because of this, have to bring in all of the people surrounding the city-state into the center of the city. And because there's so many people all in one area, it very quickly leads to disease. So a major plague begins to spread, and it kills off almost half of the population of Athens. So losing so many people is going to have a huge effect, not only on how many soldiers they have, but also on morale or people's willingness to fight. On top of that, the Athenians are this very strong naval power, and yet they still have a naval battle that they are going to be defeated at. So this really challenges the fact that they are the strongest naval power. So again, Sparta wanted to use their larger, better trained army to go right into Athens to cut off their supplies, and Athens wanted to use their navy because that's what they were good at. And not only did they want to sit and wait for the Spartans to come, but they also wanted to knock out Sparta's allies. So it would just be Sparta versus Athens and all of their allies. After the Athenian defeat at Syracuse, many neutral city-states decided to join Sparta. They decided to go with the side that they thought would win in the Peloponnesian War. And so this is going to really be bad for Athens because even some of their city-states under the Delian League are going to join in Sparta and their fight against Athens. The Persians are also going to send aid to the Spartans because if you remember, the original fight with Persia and Greece was between Persia and Athens because Athens was the one the ones who were aiding those Ionian rebels in Anatolia. And so the Persians also do not want Athens to be as powerful as they are, and they want to see Athens fall. So the Persian Empire will also send aid to the Spartans. Athens is going to hold out until 404 BC, but will eventually surrender to Sparta. And Sparta is going to demolish Athens' walls and prevent them from building another navy. They're even going to install an oligarchy to look over the city. So Sparta now controls the city-state of Athens. So they're also going to set up their own government structure, again, an oligarchy. So Sparta is essentially ruling Athens at this point. So this is the end of the Peloponnesian War, is Sparta wins. However, because of all of this fighting, first the Persian Wars, then the Peloponnesian Wars, the plague, a lot of people have died. A lot of people have lost their lives. A lot of resources have been lost in wartime. People are tired of fighting. There's not a whole lot left in the city-states because they've spent so many years fighting. So what does this do? This leaves Greece wide open to attack from outside. So the result of the Peloponnesian War is that Athens and their allies do surrender. People lose faith in democracy because, again, democracy was the government structure in Athens when the Peloponnesian War occurred. So this weakens political power. Cultures are going to slow in advancement. So again, we're going to talk in the next video about the golden age of Athens that occurs between these two wars. And there's a lot of greatness there. Well, that's going to end with the Peloponnesian War and the outcome of the Peloponnesian War. It's going to end Pericles' lead and the golden age of Greece. Pericles is actually going to die at the same time that half of the Athenians die in that plague. And so that is the end of the golden age of Greece. And after 30 years of fighting, again, most Greek city-states are weakened. It makes sense if there's so much fighting for so many years. Sparta only stayed in power in Greece for a few years before they are going to be defeated by someone else, by another city-state. And so there's just all of this turnover with these city-states still fighting one another. And what's going to end up happening is a whole other enemy is going to come in, and that's Macedonia. Macedonia is located to the north of Greece, and a king by the name of King Philip II is actually going to come in and take over Greece. And he's going to be able to do so quite easily because Greece has been so weakened by all of the wars. His son is then going to take over in Greece and beyond, and his son is known as Alexander the Great, who is one of the biggest historical figures we'll probably talk about this year. Alexander the Great ended up with an empire that was larger than any that had existed up to this point. And Macedonia coming in and taking over Greece will end the ancient Greece that we know of, that we've been talking about, and there will be a new spread of culture and totally new way of governing that takes place there based on the Macedonians. So this is the end of the video on the Peloponnesian War. You should have now completed the notes on the Persian and Peloponnesian Wars. And in our next video, we will talk about that golden age, again, that occurs between these two wars, not after both.